I had to have this lady on. I love her business model, and she is definitely a Black lady in action, guys.
Thank you for having me, Melissa, on your show.
So much to unravel here with you. So you service all 50 states. Your company services all 50 states. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We service all 50 states. Plus, we have some international companies too. We have some clients in Mexico, Norway, and Spain. So
Oh,
we actually have some international operations too that have U.S. operations here in the U.S. So yeah, we do some pretty complex accounting and taxation.
okay. So I love to start from the beginning. How long have you operated this company? How long has it been around?
Well, I have been a CPA. I'm going to date myself. Oh my gosh, over 20 years. I started my career in Chicago with Arthur Anderson and stayed with them straight out of college and Buckeye Go Bucks. Stayed with them all the way through college until that firm actually closed, right? Because everyone knows about Anderson and what happened here in Houston. Unfortunately, affected those of us who are in Chicago, even though we weren't related to what happened in Houston. And then later on, I went to KPMG, which is another big four. And when I had my daughter, right, I
Mhm.
had my daughter about 12 years ago. I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and go on my own, and just do this and start my own firm. I was about 7 months pregnant. Wasn't really supposed to be on an
Mhm.
airplane. I was flying to Toronto. I probably couldn't fit. They didn't ask me how pregnant I was, and I didn't offer and tell them how pregnant I was. And it hit me, and I was on the airplane. I said, you know what? My life is about to change in a major way.
Mhm.
And, I wanted to be there for my daughter. And so entrepreneurship seemed to be the natural way. And then here was Mariga CPA was born. They're the same age as my daughter.
That's amazing. I know a lot of mothers can relate to that. You're like, I had to give up the 9 to 5. I had to create my own system that works for me and what I'm about to do in the next level of your life. Was it hard, the beginning process, like getting the firm started and getting the organizations structured together and everything?
Luckily, I had a really strong background, right? So the
Mhm.
technical skills were already there because, I've been doing accounting for a decade by the time I started my own firm. And I was lucky because I'm actually second generation entrepreneurship. Now I had to start my own firm, but I grew up with my parents being entrepreneurs, right? My dad had an accounting firm in Ohio and so he was there to guide me. Oh yeah, get an LLC, get incorporated, how to file that. And so, I think I was able to skip a lot of the roadmaps of not knowing what to do just because of my work experience and also being, a second generation entrepreneur with there. But obviously, there were things I had to learn, right? Like how to market, how to get customers, how to show them that I help them,
Mhm.
obviously the profit first journey, which got me to writing the next book, Profit First for Minority Business Enterprises too, and be able to tell my story even in more detail.
I love that you just put in there. You said you came from a family of entrepreneurs. So this mindset was already instilled in you from probably childhood. Like, what companies did your family own by, and if you mind me asking? Were
Yeah.
they tax professionals as well?
Well, my dad had a CPA firm in
Hmm.
Cincinnati, an accounting firm named after him.
So you were lucky. You had that already great background, stability, and then you had to learn to just market. How was that? The marketing, how did it go the first year?
I think I was a lot like a lot of entrepreneurs, right? I
Mhm.
literally started my business. I incorporated. Back then you could get like these one-page websites for like $20 a month. And you just waited for people to call you, right? The world is a lot different than it is now, obviously back then. And so I think that my marketing has taken phases, right? Because, back then there weren't that many websites, right? that were out there. And so there was a natural influx of, lead generation where people would just call you there. And then obviously as you get entrenched in your business and you help another person, right, you start to get referrals. And so people start to call you and they start to reach out to you and they go, hey, you help so and so, can you help me too? And eventually you build networks, right? And also there were certain organizations that were key to belonging to. I joined in Houston. We have the Houston Minority Supplier Development Council.
Mm.
I joined that. That allowed me to meet people that were in their different fields that were entrepreneurs. And that was really, really key to growing my business and also learning how to run a business from a marketing standpoint. Eventually I was able to become the auditor for our local Houston Minority Supplier Development Council. And that ended up leading to meeting the folks that were in charge of the contracts with the city of Houston. So we ended up getting their bond arbitrage contract. So, one step kind of led to another for us from our marketing journey.
That's good. I love how you put networking. Network expanded your operations so much, and you were just leaning off of each other. I think that is needed. A lot of as Black female entrepreneurs, we think that we have to do it all ourselves and just go at it. So, did you always knew you wanted to go into, or
No. Actually, I thought I was going to go into pre-med and become a doctor when I was in college.
okay.
But I think growing up in a CPA firm, my dad hired me when I was 14 and I was his bookkeeper. I learned sales tax and payroll tax. And I hate to say this is terrible, but I learned in college at some point that I could study less because I already knew the material and get straight A's in an accounting major. Now I have no regret. I'm glad that I did it. I definitely make as much as what I would have made being a doctor route. And, no regret, definitely follow what you find easy, what your natural talent is, and you'll be successful with that.
That is great. That is really good advice. You already had the skills for it, and you were like, I have this already. Let me just profit off of this, and you grew to love it, obviously, and you create this whole business for yourself. So you're author. Let's go into the book. I'm so excited about this. Could you repeat the name of the book and a little backstory of how it?
Well, I love Profit First. And for those of you guys who are not familiar with it, it's an amazing book. It's a New York's bestseller. It's been an Amazon #1 bestseller for a long time. It's a book by Mike McCallowitz. And I'm really honored and I feel really privileged because I get to write the derivative book about it. And it's called Profit First for Minority Business Enterprises. And Profit First is a really near and dear topic for me because, when I started my business, I was a lot like other entrepreneurs, right? We do what we love, right? We do what we love and we think that money will naturally follow, right? If I'm good at accounting, people are naturally going to come to me because I'm good at accounting, right? Just like people that are artists or people that are, they run PR firms or advertising firms, they do what they love, right? And a lot of us are so into doing what we love that we would do it for free, right? We would do it as a hobby because we just love what we love, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with doing what you love and just focusing on what you love is your end product, your end result, that profit at the end of the day, it's a random thing, right? It's what's left over. And most entrepreneurs, what I find, they don't even know what it is until they go get their tax return at the end of the year. And they're like, I had profit. Now where did money go?
Exactly. It goes in, it goes out.
I started my business. That's exactly what happened. I took every customer that came through the door. You need a tax return. I will do it. I looked at what my competitors were charging and I slashed my prices half price, right? Because I just wanted traffic, right? And I just wanted to help people. And 3 years into my business, I said, my husband sat me down and I was working crazy hours, long hours, because, when you're the cheapest and you're good, you have no problem getting customers, right? And I was literally sitting at my kitchen table and it was a Sunday night. And my husband said, you know what, Suzanne, you'll be better off if you just go get a job. Because right now, your paycheck is less than what it used to be and you're working all the time. You left your job to spend time with your daughter and that's not even happening. We don't even see you. You might as well get a job. And he was absolutely right. As a business owner, I worked harder than I ever worked in my corporate job. And I had made it pretty high in my corporate job. I was an audit manager, but I as an entrepreneur, I had nothing to show for it. And one day I was just randomly looking at books and I found Mike McCallowitz's book, Profit First. And in this book, it was about working with our human innate, how we operate just innately, right? And the problem with business schools, and I went to business school and you probably did too, and you're probably very familiar with this accounting equation. Revenue minus expenses equals profit, right? Revenue minus expenses equals profit.
Okay.
And when I was going to school for accounting, they would have you solve for algebraically and they would, have all these formulas that can you figure out how much revenue you need to make X amount to break even, all these fancy calculations. But the problem is when we teach our entrepreneurs revenue minus expenses equals profit, we're teaching our entrepreneurs focus on your revenue, sell to anybody, that walks the door, and then be responsible, right? If you get loans, be responsible, pay your debts.
Yeah.
But the result is we don't teach them to focus on the profit. We don't teach them at the end of the day, when you retire, what really matters. And so what Profit First does is we work with our innate human nature and we actually flip that accounting equation. We go revenue minus profit equals expenses. So we tell our entrepreneurs, focus on your profit first.
I love
Pay
that.
your profit first.
Can you repeat that? Revenue minus, I'll say that one more time. I have to hear that.
Revenue minus profit equals expenses. Whatever is left after you pay your profit first, is left over for expenses.
That is so smart. That is so good. I love that.
And so what Profit First does, based upon your revenue, your allocation of your money is going to go to different places, right? So if you're a small business, right, it's a one-man show. So you're under $250,000, you're the entrepreneur, you are the janitor, you are the marketer, you are the bookkeeper, you are everything. And so you need to be compensated as if you are doing everything, right? And so we expect, if you're under 250,000, we expect half of your revenue to be going towards your owner's pay, your tax, and your profit. And then the other half can go towards your business expenses. And then as your business grows, your owner's pay is going to go down, but your profit's going to go up because your owner's pay is going to go down because as a proportion of revenue, because now you are scaling. Now you're relying on the power of a team. So there's a whole table that I'm going to send you, Melissa, so that you can look that up and share with your audience on that. And so based upon these, what we call common size financials or percentages, like what percentage of profit, percentage of owner pay, percentage of tax that we see in these healthy companies, what's going to happen is we're going to create bank accounts for each of those. We're going to create a bank account for your profit account, a bank account for your tax account, a bank account for your owner's pay, and a bank account for your operating expenses. So kind of like Dave Ramsey and his envelope system. And for you guys out there that are familiar with Dave Ramsey, you know, he takes envelopes, right? And as soon as you get paid, you got rent money, you got entertainment money, you've got food money, and everything goes in a different envelope. And that's, we can't do envelopes in businesses because you're probably going to get in trouble, right? Nobody have any money under their pillowcases or under their mattresses.
That is so common in the Black community. We just put it to the side. We don't put it in a bank, and there's nothing to show for it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, I'm not going to name names of because I don't want to get anyone robbed, but you know. It definitely still happens. I know that. But instead of envelopes in our businesses, we're going to use bank accounts. And what happens is we have one bank account called the income account. And in that account, all your money is, as you're collecting your money throughout the month, it gets deposited in this income account, right? So all the revenue gets allocated to this income account. And then it's allocated twice a month on the 10th and 25th to the smaller bank account. So you get a small percentage sent over to taxes because we want to reserve for taxes, right? We don't want any surprises at the end of the year going, you owe these taxes and you didn't save money for it. A percentage of this money is going to go towards your profit account first, right? Because we want to fund our profit. A percentage of this money is going to go to your owner's pay because as an owner, you need to make sure you're paying yourself, right? Because one day, you know, you're going to need to replace yourself. And as you replace yourself with a CEO, you're going to need to pay them. So let's just start with paying yourself first, right? Everything else goes to this operating expense account. And that's where you're going to decide, okay, do I have enough money to sign that big lease, right? Is there another way? Maybe virtual's better right now in the COVID-19 world. How much do we have to spend for marketing? All that money is going to be put in the operating expenses account. And that's how you're going to decide how you want to allocate that money. What's the best return on investment in spending that money?